I was going to journal this, but I can't write as fast as my brain is going. I don't know if I'll post it or not. It's very unorganized. I mean, I'm an organized person, but my brain isn't. My brain's a mess. It always is. All right, so here it goes. I'm just trying to repel these thoughts out of my head so that way I don't say things or do things or let it affect me in a negative way. Now, in doing that, my goal, in theory, is to not damage anyone, including myself. You'd have to hear the whole thing out in order not to be damaged. Now, I say this because in the past, I have taken somebody's explanation and I hear the first word, sentence, I hear the first emotion portrayed, and I hold on to that and completely ignore the point of them, whatever their point is that they're trying to say, or I assume that I know what they're talking about until I listen, or shock value, come back later on in life and hear them actually explain what they meant. Because what you say and what you mean doesn't always get portrayed or interpreted correctly. All right? And so I just have to be very vague when I say certain things because I want to choose wisely the words that I cannot take back and the effects that they have. Words are powerful, bro. They really are. But I get mumble jumbled. I don't even know if that's said correctly. Regardless, I get mixed up in my head over certain things in my life. Sometimes I want to be sarcastically punny and say things out of an unpure heart. Sometimes I say it just to be funny or for shock value, but I don't realize the exact power that my words have, and I don't realize how they actually affect people, because just because I'm able to maybe let it go in ear, maybe let it go in one ear or out the other, doesn't mean that they are. And I don't believe all the time that I have to shoot it purposefully to just not consider the other person in the way I speak the truth. I can say the truth in a kinder, gentler way, differently to different people. I might want to filter what I say through somebody else's conversion before I directly shoot at somebody that might be a little bit more sensitive in the area. For instance, if somebody's getting divorced and I'm trying to tell them about salvation or the Bible, I might not want to start off with talking about the Bible and what it says about divorce, especially if this person has not developed a relationship with Christ. Personal example that I did, that's wrong. Learning experience a long time ago, back when I was younger. I was in New York City and I was talking to a homosexual. I don't know what they call themselves these days. I was talking to another human being that identified as a male who was attracted to males, homosexual. I was trying to speak the truth in love about the Bible, Jesus Christ, relationship, salvation, sin. And I, unfortunately, went right to Sodom and Gomorrah, which, if anybody is not familiar with that passage in the Bible, also known as the Bible, there was a lot of bad things going on there. I'm going to call it all under the category of sexual immorality. and the village was destroyed. It might have been a city. The place was destroyed. And my exact words were, didn't you know that God destroyed a whole village of gays? But that's not 100% the way I should have done it. You know, the Bible condemns sin. A lot of times there's this comfortableness in sin in which the world, and myself included, has gotten accustomed to. We have trained ourselves into this pattern of sin. And then when we're called out on it, we take a step back and say, how dare you? Why would you say what I'm doing is wrong? Don't shoot the messenger. If I saw that you were walking across the street and a car was coming and you had your headphones on and you had no idea that this car was coming in your direction and could possibly hit you and kill you, injure you, whatever. Maybe you're tough and the car will hit you and it'll be damaged and ain't nothing for you. Maybe you're just that cool. But would you want me to just sit there and watch you get hit by a car when I'm perfectly capable of taking part in the rescuing process? Not to put aside the fact that some people might want to get hit by that car. Some people might not care if destruction is coming to destroy them. They're willing to be destroyed. They just don't care. And it is almost offensive for me to want to help them. They take pride in being able to fend for themselves. Sometimes we don't realize that we need help in areas that we can't help ourselves in. And that area is sin. All right? That's definitely the area for me that I need help in, that I can't help myself. I might be able to work on some things that would aid in me sinning less, but I won't be sinless. You know what I mean? I will not be without sin. He who is without sin, cast the first stone. And then basically you got Jesus and this person all right, looks like nobody's around here to throw stones at you. You're free to go. That's a paraphrase, you know. So we all have sin. We all fall short of the glory of God. All right? But there are sins that are more prevalent, I guess. No, sin has always been around. There seems to be hot topics of certain sins in the world. And they're all over social media, the news, various outlets. Heaven forbid, pun intended, I guess. Heaven forbid that we speak against these sins. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people in and out of churches that are pointing their fingers at certain sins, claiming righteous judgment, in which when these people who are getting their fingers or getting fingers pointed at them, for instance, homosexuality is a big one. But these people pointing their fingers at these sinners need to remember, and it's silly because point one finger at yourself, you got 3 pointing back at you. They need to point the fingers back at themselves as well, because it says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So we are all sinners. Just because I'm not a homosexual doesn't mean that I can go against homosexuality and say, specifically, point them out and say, you are worse than me because of your sin. Because the sin is sin. I have sin, you have sin, Oprah came to town, we all have sin. Well, truth is, the devil came to town, we all have sin. And so I'm trying to look at it from the people who are getting the fingers pointed at them perspective, because I've had fingers pointed at me and I've pointed fingers at people. For the instance with, say, homosexuality, it's just sin. It's sin. It's no different than anybody lying, cheating, having lustful thoughts. And with the lustful thoughts thing, it is no different than, let's say, the statistics where the majority of people in churches, evangelicals, and I hate that term, evangelicals, Bible-believing whatevers, have a high percentage statistically of lust and pornography addiction. That's not even like the people that are saying, I don't believe in God. You know, those are people openly admitting that they are struggling with pornography and lust problems within the church. Now, some of them think they're going to a church and they're not, but that's a whole other topic. Because they're not getting preached from the real Bible. Whatever. So there's a sin problem that we have. And whatever that sin is, it separates us from a true relationship with God. Now, you're going to have sin in a true relationship with God, but hopefully you end up having less. Nobody's perfect. There was only one person that was perfect, and that was Jesus. And he came to show us that through him, we can have a relationship with God. We can be forgiven of our sins. Now, it doesn't say that we're never going to sin again, but we're going to be forgiven of our sins. That doesn't mean we can continue willfully in our sins. You know, I'm trying to remember this right off my head, so forgive me if I don't quote it correctly. But for him who knows it's sin and continues to do it, that's sin. Basically, if you know you're doing something is wrong and you're willfully choosing to do it, knowing that it's wrong, that's sin. That's absolutely sin. I mean, if mom and dad told you not to watch TV at 9 o'clock at night and do your homework, and you know that's what they told you, and you know you can get away with watching TV at that time, and you choose to do it, and they catch you, odds are you're probably going to get punished for it, right? Consequences. Taking responsibility and admitting that we were wrong. So admit that we sinned. And it's not like, oh, I got caught, now I have to say I'm sorry. No. It's that conscience. You know, we know it's wrong, we choose to do it, and then ask for forgiveness later. It's not a good concept. But I do it. I've done it. A lot of people do it. Don't sear your conscience because of a lack of conviction. If you develop that relationship, hopefully that conscience, that conviction will come in prior to the sin. If there's no conviction prior to the sin, during the sin, or after the sin, on any timeline, like it doesn't have to be like I have the thought that I want to sin and all of a sudden I'm convicted. That's awesome if it's that instant. Same thing with I'm committing the sin and I'm convicted as I'm committing it. That's awesome. Or even after the sin. Prior means after, doesn't it? Before, during, and after the sin. That's what I mean. I might have been using the wrong words. All right? But if there's no conviction before you do the sin, no conviction as you're doing the sin, or no conviction after you've done the sin. Now, I don't mean like instantly before, during, and after. I mean at any given time, like you have the thought, yo, I'm going to do this after work, and then don't even think about it. Then all of a sudden the opportunity comes, boom. There's a time frame. There's a time frame there, right? During the sin, depending on how long this sin takes to do, Maybe you're feeling like, you know what? I thought I was going to feel really like humanly pleasure out of this. My flesh was going to be enjoying this. It's not as good as I thought it was. Similar example is when you're sober and you get high for the first time in a long time after sobriety, it's not the same. When you're in active addiction, when I was in active addiction and I was getting high, I was getting high. I have had the opportunity, the misfortune of relapsing. I wouldn't really call it relapsing. I never wanted to stay sober back then. Of getting high after a certain short period of time of sobriety. And like when I got high, it was not enjoyable. It was miserable. It was like paranoid, and it was just like, yo, this isn't fun at all. Like, because I felt like instant conviction and it wouldn't go away. Kind of similar to like when somebody has a panic attack. It was like a non-high induced stressful panic attack, but it wasn't really a panic attack. It was just one of those things. The only reason I relate it to like a panic attack is because like when a panic attack, an anxiety attack, whatever it happens, you can't really shake it with just some type of, oh, I'm going to go do push-ups, oh, I'm going to drink some water, give him some milk. You know what I mean? It's just not going to go away. You kind of have to like ride it out, that uncomfortableness. Sort of almost like dope sickness. But whatever. It's just like, instant regret. And it just, instant regret. It just sucks, you know? And it's not fulfilling at all. So if you're before, during, or even after you've committed this sin and there's like no conviction, and it might like after the sin is committed, it might be a while before you're convicted. For me personally, I would say even if you're just accountable basically almost to yourself, like we're all accountable to God, but if you don't have somebody in your life that's helping keep you accountable in whatever area, the Bible should be doing that for one. But like if you don't have a relationship that is keeping you accountable, keeping you convicted, it might be a while before you actually feel convicted. You know, it can come in all sorts of forms. It doesn't have to just be like, I feel bad about this. It could be something that like was really like, man, I really feel like I need to do something to correct this behavior. Back in the day, if I did something wrong to my sisters, I have two younger sisters, I called them a doo-doo face or whatever, you know, blew up their Barbie, random stuff, you know. If I get caught, I'd get punished, and my mom would say, you need to go apologize to your sisters. I'd be like, right now? Yeah, go apologize to them. But I don't feel sorry right now. So I'd go, oh, hey, sorry for blowing up your Barbie. I didn't mean it. I get the concept, but if I really truly felt convicted for the wrongdoing that I did, I would genuinely go and say, I'm sorry. But only when I actually felt that. I'm not going to just say I'm sorry when I'm not. That's a lie. That's like digging yourself a bigger hole, you know? And so in a perfect world, if I actually feel convicted over something I have done, however long it takes for that actual, genuine, authentic conviction to happen, that's when I want to put my conviction into action. I want to analyze how to change my behavior, how to prevent the mistake again, yet I want to like use it as a learning experience. And then I want to ask for forgiveness and then show that I'm sorry to whoever I may have harmed. And that's on me. I do not expect or require the person that I have damaged to forgive me, because our words are powerful, our actions are powerful, and actions speak louder than words. So if I do some damage to somebody, I do not expect them to forgive me for the things I've done, especially if all I'm using is this to portray the fact that I'm convicted and sorry. Even if I'm using actions and they speak louder than words, if I have done my part, that is all that needs to be done. God can do the rest, and it might be years. It might not ever happen that they either choose to keep you in their life, to forgive you, or to even deal with the damage that you've done. So give yourself a break. If you have authentically apologized, put it into action, and tried to show Not shove, but show that you are sorry. You can't force it down people's throats. You don't have to prove to them that you're sorry. You just have to try to correct the behavior and try not to let it happen again. I don't know if that made sense. But anyway, I had to babble. It was all unorganized. Peace.